holidays from Geek Time.
If you know how to give the Vulcan hand sign, if you've never kissed a girl or tasted wine, if you write all your papers in Linux, then you know it's Geek Time. If you still live with your parents and you're 38 years old, you got a pocket protector and you blog about having a cold.
It's Geek Time.
Can't wait to get an iPad.
It's Geek Time.
You like old gun and super bad.
It's Geek Time.
You got a coffee mug warmer and an Iron Man mask.
It's Geek Time.
You dress up and go to Comic-Con.
Geek Time.
You know all the lines to Wrath of Khan.
Geek Time.
You like asteroids and shiny droids and iPhones.
It's Geek Time.
Time to get a life.
It's Geek Time.
You will never get a wife.
It's Geek Time.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Welcome to Geek Time, the next generation. Hosted by Chris Boris,
Don't cross the stream.
Make it so.
your Geek Time guru,
Never tell me the odds.
bringing you all things geek-worthy from the world of pop culture.
All right, welcome back to Geek Time, the next generation. I'm your host, Chris Boris, and this is Season 2, Episode 3. And as you can see, I'm flying solo again today. And I have to first start off by saying that this episode is brought to you by McFarlane Toys. 'Tis the season. If you're trying to buy something for that person that is very hard to buy for, McFarlane pretty much has you covered. I'm geeking. One of the things I'm geeking out on is they sent me a huge care package of all their newest product, and so I'm like kind of drowning in product over here. They ended up gotten the license for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're doing this page puncher line, and these figures, if you can see, if you're watching the YouTube feed here, they have the Ninja Turtles, and they look great. They're based off the IDW comics, which they've got Leonardo Donatello, Shredder, the Foot, and they just announced the second set, which has the rest of the Turtles and Bebop and Rocksteady, so that's pretty cool. And I'm geeking out over, they got the Mortal Kombat license as well, so they sent me some figures from that, Reptile, Liu Kang, Raiden. Amazing. And then I know, I feel bad because last episode I was kind of talking down about the new Avatar, but they sent me a bunch of Avatar product too, the Navis. So I think these are pretty cool. I'm digging this. They even have the one of the fire guys. Where's that at? Yeah, that one. That's pretty slick looking. So I don't know what I'm going to do with all that, but yeah, I guess we'll make a little contest out of it. If you're watching the YouTube feed, go ahead and pick me in the comments, and we'll pick a winner to give some of this stuff to. Really cool. So thank you, McFarlane Toys, for being a sponsor for the Geek Time episode here today. So one of the things I'm geeking out on is, if you saw Stranger Things, I forgot to cover this last week, but a couple fans reminded me. I think it was the very first episode of Season 5, they had a shot of one of the characters playing Ghosts and Goblins on the NES in their room. And I thought this was so funny because they didn't just use the NES version. They used the arcade version and tried to pass it off as the NES version on the TV screen there, which I don't know how you do that. That's kind of like a blunder. But I also... now, I posted this on social media. I was like, I wonder if these guys are Irate Gamer fans, because I ended up doing the same thing for my Irate Gamer review back in 2007. I used the arcade footage instead of the NES footage. The only reason I did that was because it was impossible to get anywhere in the NES game. I wanted to show what the whole game was about. and the different levels, and you couldn't do that with the NES version back then. I've seen a bunch of speed throughs since then where you can kind of showcase, this level, that level, or whatnot. But yeah, back then that was not the case, so that's why I used the arcade version. So I made the joke in the comment. I was like, I wonder if the Duffer Brothers are fans of the Irate Gamer, because this is kind of like a nod to that episode in a backhanded kind of way. So I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know if that's the case, but damn, if truth is stranger than fiction, I hope that's the case, because that would be kind of a cool homage to the Irate Gamer show, because I can tell you, I've had some interesting emails from people in the celebrity world that did watch the show. So who knows? Maybe they actually saw it.
Great Scott!
Wouldn't that be cool? All right, guy can dream, can he? All right, so let's go ahead and get to some geek news and notes. Some interesting things are kind of rearing in the game, in the world of pop culture here. So one of the things I find interesting is that the internet, it seems like anything, all the rumors, if they start on the internet, boy, they spread like wildfire. I've seen it myself with rumors of the Irate Gamer show. People are like, oh, the Irate Gamer did this. I'm like, I did. I didn't intend that at all. So I felt the brunt of the internet making up stories, fabricating stories firsthand. But I guess James Gunn has come out and started talking about some of the Superman 2 rumors that are going around. One in particular is that Brainiac is supposed to be the next big bad. And it's gotten to the point now where people are saying, well, first it was these celebrities are in the running. Now it's only these celebrities in the running. And I guess the top contenders were supposed to be Matt Smith from Doctor Who fame, Sam Rockwell from Iron Man 2 fame, and Dave Bautista, and Klaus Bang. I don't know who that is, but yeah, I guess he was also a contender. But I guess James Gunn came out and said, I had to say that he never said that Brainiac was the actual big bad to the next film, and everybody just kind of assumed that. And rightly so, though. I think the next big bad, if you want to really get into the Superman lore, you gotta go with Brainiac. I mean, who else are you gonna go with? Bizarro? I mean, I don't know if that would translate well on the big screen, but... And I guess the last big bad was kind of like a Bizarro version of Superman. And I don't know, whoever.
What up with that?
But yeah, it seems like the next logical step would be Brainiac. I've always wanted to see Brainiac on the big screen. I know Kevin Smith, that was his contribution with the Nicolas Cage Superman. He wanted to bring Brainiac to that franchise. And actually, James Gunn was on Howard Stern 2 months ago, I think it was, and he dropped kind of a bombshell that I haven't seen anyone else really cover, but it does sound like he's talking about Brainiac. So let's go ahead and listen to that now.
You know, we released the fact that we're coming out with Man of Tomorrow last week. It's going to be out in 2 years in theaters in July 9th of 2027, which is relatively a short time between sequels because we knew immediately where we were going. And it is a story about Lex Luthor and Superman having to work together to a certain degree.
That's interesting.
Against a much, much bigger threat. And it's more complicated than that, but that's a big part of it. It's as much a Lex movie as it is a Superman movie.
So there you go. That's a big bombshell. So he pretty much revealed that in the next installment, Superman and Lex Luthor have to team up against the next big bad, whoever that's supposed to be. And my mind instantly goes to Brainiac because, I mean, that's who you would pull out of the Superman world. I guess there's Metallo, but why would you want to go that route? I don't know. I hope that's not the route he's going. But I hope James Gunn is kind of throwing us all off with this one, because if Brainiac is not the next big bad, boy, talk about a ball drop move.
No! God, please, no! No!
I guess if you really wanted to, you could go the biggest big bad ever, and that would be Darkseid. But I don't know. I wouldn't you want to save that for the third one, or if you're trying to build this new universe, save him for the big bad when you get this universe really going? So I don't know what the future holds with this, but as far as what he's saying, Dave Bautista is not in the running at all for this. So I don't know if he was kind of dissing that rumor in particular or the whole rumor of Brainiac altogether, but I guess we'll see.
Enough said.
All right, thanks, Stan. All right, so in other news, I found this really interesting. So Arcade 1-Up, it was reported, now this is kind of a weird story. Arcade 1-Up, it's about a week ago, it was reported that they were going belly up. They were folding. And now the news is that it's being purchased by Basic Fun. Now, I thought, I kind of wondered if this was what was going on, because when I was at Toy Fair, now I've got some inside information on this. So when I was at Toy Fair, I went over to the Basic Fun booth, and in the very back, they had a little section for arcade cabinets. Not only did they have arcade cabinets on display, but they had Arcade 1-Up cabinets on display. Like same buttons, same screen, same box. For all intents and purposes, it was, they took the Arcade 1-Up console, put it out on the floor, and just put their game into it. So, and I think it was the WrestleMania, the WW, I guess I gotta call it WWE WrestleMania for legal reasons. But yeah, it was interesting because I was like, can they really do this? I know it's a prototype, and I've seen people do this before where on the sales at Toy Fair, they'll put a prototype out, and by the time it comes out, actual release, it's all made up and whatever, and I wasn't allowed to take pictures or talk about it. In fact, I actually got in trouble because I covered it in my Toy Fair episode. I had to kind of pull a little clip out of there because I talked about one of their IPs that they didn't want out there, and I guess so there was I ruffled a bunch of feathers. That's how good the Geek Time show is here. We're reporting on stuff that we're not allowed to be reporting. So I had to pull that. But yeah, so I guess this really kind of makes sense. I guess in the background they were working with Arcade 1-Up, and this is the next logical step, it seems. They're making different cabinets and whatever. And I don't think they've made an official, Basic Fun I'm talking about. I don't think they've made an official announcement as what titles they're doing. So I guess we'll leave that up in the air. I guess at Toy Fair they'll probably unveil all of that.
Oh my. But
yeah, I can't wait to see what they do. Arcade 1-Up, it seems like they weren't doing really anything with the with any new arcade consoles for a while. So let's see what Basic Fun is going to do, because I know they're bringing back a lot of the old IPs that Arcade 1-Up was talking about. And when I talked to them, I asked them, I was like, well, is something like Donkey Kong off the table? Because I know Arcade 1-Up had a very hard time getting Nintendo to sign on. And I don't know if, Nintendo usually holds their IP very, very close to the chest. They had all these stipulations on having Mario and whatever being in the movie Wreck-It Ralph. Like, I wish he had more of a presence, but no, they had their IP under lock and key, so that was crazy. But I will say that Basic Fun told me that they do have a good working relationship with Nintendo, so it could be a reality. They wouldn't say for sure one way or the other, but let's leave the door open, see what they could get done. Because I tell you what, if they made a Donkey Kong replica, God, that thing would sell like hotcakes. Not only that, but if you did the old classic Mario Brothers, the 2-player Mario Brothers, another classic. I know tons of people would probably pick that up, buy it. You could probably also do Duck Hunt. There was an arcade version of that. So if they get that Nintendo IP, man, the sky's the limit for that one. That just blows me away. But I feel like, I feel like Arcade 1-Up, I don't know if they ran out of steam or what, but it just seems like they could have gone in so many other directions. Like they could have picked up Contra and put like Contra, Super Contra on one cabinet. That would have been amazing, wouldn't it? God, I would love to have Contra throw it in my game room here. And they didn't really harvest any of the Atari stuff. They had Jungle King. Was that Atari? I can't remember if there was Atari, but there was Food Fight. Gosh, so many. Atari did a ton of them, as well as, what was that other company that branched off from them? Activision. I don't think they did any Activision stuff as well, which they could have. I don't know why they didn't, but yeah, missed opportunities with that one. So let's go ahead and get into some Star Wars news here, because there's some interesting things dropping. Now, one of the things I thought was very interesting was that Screen Rant, the website Screen Rant, put an article out there, and I don't know if it's, I read through the article, and I don't know if it's the heading was misleading or what, because I didn't really find any information in the actual article itself. But the header pretty much said that Star Wars is getting a new episode 7. They're rebooting, from what they're saying, they're rebooting the sequels, which I am all for. If they do that, I say let's start off with episode 7 anew. Let's dump all the old characters. I want to see a refresh on this, because I love the old expanded universe with Truce of Bakora. I used to love that book, and then the Thrawn trilogy and all. Like, they did the fanverse in the 1990s was incredible, and then because the storylines that they threw out there did total fan service to the original trilogy. And when they announced that they were doing episode 7, I was like, yeah, let's go. Like, if they release a picture where J.J. Abrams and his whole crew and the original cast were sitting around spitballing and wargaming the next trilogy, I was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. We're going to get something on par with what we saw with the expanded universe. Unfortunately, we didn't get anything anywhere near it. I was so upset. I'm like, oh my God. What they presented just killed the franchise. And what makes me mad is the whole fan base. Like, in order to create a good sequel, you have to grow the plot with your fan base. And the fan base from back then were getting older, they had kids, and this is what we wanted to see. Like, you take Luke, Han, Leia, like, only Han and Leia had kids. The one turned bad, and I just got very lost with the whole plot. It was just, you didn't really grow the franchise in a way that we wanted or expected.
We're not like you. We're grown-ups, motherfucker.
Exactly. The problem is, if you really dig into the article, it says that basically the Disney brass over there is hoping that the Mandoverse is going to replace the new trilogy. That's what I got out of it. And for all intents and purposes, I don't know if that's a good substitution. I mean, yeah, I love the whole Mandalorian, Grogu thing, but I don't know, is it enough to sustain the entire franchise? Here's the problem, though, with Star Wars, is that growing up, this was an IP geared for boys. Today, that's not the case. And look, I'm very tuned in to the toy world and things like that. And I'll tell you this right now, boys of this next generation, they're not interested in Star Wars. Like, it's going to be a dying IP. And they've got a problem here. Like, I'll go to Target. All their toys are sitting on the store shelves. Like, their target audience is my generation. Like, I think I'm, like, my generation is the only one still buying the toys. The stuff that they're putting out there now, like, kids could care less. They've diluted the IP so much and gone in a direction where all their leads are girls, and they've gone off in these weird plot devices with episode 8 just totally off the rails. Episode 9 totally off the rails. And I've talked about that with Tim on the show ad nauseum, but that's where we are. This IP is in trouble. And with Mandalorian, yeah, they got back to the basics. Let's get back to getting the interest back to the boys and getting product back into the hands of boys, because that is your demographic with this. It's like taking My Little Pony and filling it with boys. Like, that's not going to fly. Girls are not going to stand for that. Just in the opposite side of the coin, boys are kind of being pushed out of the genre. So that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Also, in Star Wars news, the Boba Fett prototype. Now, for my generation, you'll know that the Star Wars line is super huge back in the 1970s, and they actually made a prototype for Boba Fett. He was a big figure, and the lore, of course, everybody knows this. The original Boba Fett prototype figure had a rocket launcher that actually launched. It popped out. It was spring-loaded, came out of his back, and it was a choking hazard, so they made it. There was no spring action loaded feature to that figure anymore. But now that prototype has hit the auction block, and it sold for $1.34 million, setting a new toy record. That is insane, to spend over $1 million
Oh my.
on a toy. I mean, if you're a fan, I can see it, but now we are entering Action Comics #1 territory. I remember when that comic hit, it sold for over $1 million. I think it was around 2010 for $1 million. I'm like, we have just set a new precedent. Like,
All too easy.
so there's just no going down from there. I guess, and I've watched the price on Action Comics #1. It's just keep going up and up and up. I think it's around $2 million now that people are paying for it. And I remember Nicolas Cage purchased it at one point. He had to sell it when he was going through all that bankruptcy financing stuff. So he doesn't have a copy anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, so Boba Fett, the prototype sold for $1.34 million. That is insane. That is insane. Would I do it if I had the money? I would have to think about that. Maybe. If I was a Boba Fett crazy lunatic, maybe. But yeah, if I had FU money to spend on a prototype, maybe. And look, I'd have to have a museum. Okay, let me fix that. If I had a museum, if I had a toy museum, I would definitely plunk down that kind of cash for the prototype. I'm kind of curious who bought this. I don't know if that's public, but I would like to know who bought this and why. Because if it's for a museum, I can see it. Yeah, let's go forward with it. But if you're just buying it to throw in your own personal archive, whatever. And with that, it looks like we have a caller on the line with a Star Wars question.
Hotline transmitting via cellular technology.
Hey, Tony, you're on the air with Geek Time.
Hello, Chris. You're a big Star Wars fan, I know from seeing your past videos. I was wondering, what are your thoughts on Star Wars A New Hope being released in theaters, the 4K 77 version, be released unaltered, the non-special edition version? What are your thoughts on this? Do you agree with this or not? And what do you like better, the unaltered versions or the special edition versions, and why?
Yeah, that's a good question. I did see that in the news where they're bringing back the original trilogy, the untouched original trilogy back into movie theaters. And I think from a film standpoint, that's great because when you're trying to preserve history, film history, you want to keep that alive, the old prints, the untouched prints alive. And so from that standpoint, I think it's great. And I know that they've been all gung-ho with the, what do they call it, the special edition trilogy. And I do like how Lucas went back and fixed a lot of the problematic things, kind of like with where Steven Spielberg went back and fixed E.T. You know, he fixed up a lot of the matting problems and things like that. But he didn't really touch a lot of the script type things and added new scenes into it. I don't think he did that. But when it comes to the trilogy, I like seeing new things added in if it makes sense. Like the one thing I have a problem with the special editions is the scene with him and Biggs, where they meet each other at the where Luke is getting into his X-wing and they're about to go to the Death Star. They added that scene in, and that scene is so god dang boring. Like, I sit there, the entire scene that they crowbarred back into the original movie is 90 seconds long. And the entire time I'm like, oh my God, I gotta sit through 90 seconds of this BS. And it makes no sense because Biggs was a part of the original story that was kind of cut out, and they put this scene back in to kind of pay homage to that. But the scene doesn't need to be put in there. Like, Biggs is, do I have that name wrong? I can't remember his name, but this Luke's friend. They put the scene back in, and it doesn't need to be back in there. Like, I don't know why they put that scene back in. It makes no sense at all.
Nerd alert! Nerd alert!
Another thing I have a problem with is the see, I like what they did with Empire Strikes Back, where Lando, the scene where he's coming out of the Millennium Falcon and grabbing Luke. Before, it was like bright white and it looks like he's going out into a snowstorm, but now they fixed it so that there's like an extra hatch that opens up and the sun is setting like in Bespin. And that's the one problem that was the one problem I had with that scene, was the hatch would open. It was bright out, but I'm like, wait a minute, the sun is setting outside. How is it that bright? So they fixed stuff like that, and that's the stuff I kind of like seeing fixed. But when you take the Jabba Hutt scene in the third one and create a whole new song, when I like the original song, but you had all these 3D animation characters jumping around, going Tobby Neck or whatever the hell that new song was called, and you had the dancers. I guess I'll tolerate it, but I like the original song. You don't get that anymore, so yeah, those are the kind of things I'm like, I don't know. But if you're going back and fixing all the matting problems, yeah, I like it. So I hope I answered both of those questions with that. So I want to go out with an interesting clip here. So since we're talking about all things Star Wars, I want to end with Patton Oswalt. He did a stand-up routine about Star Wars, the prequel stuff. Just hilarious. I think he speaks for us all when he talks about this stuff. So if you've never heard this before, I can't remember when this was posted. I think it was like 2011, 2012. But yeah, this is just hilarious. I love this.
I was thinking about... Is he like it? Does he have the little... Bill and Darth Vader. air conditioning and it's done like out of its.
You look really sad.
That sounds awful. That sounds like shit.
Which?
A dish of ice cream. When you combine the rock salt with ice and cream and sugar and flavoring, it becomes ice.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Geek Time continues transmitting next with
Voice actor Michael Bell.
Irate Gamer fans, rejoice if you're a fan of the show. Then you can get Blu-rays of all 10 seasons for a holiday special for $99.99. We're extending our holiday sale on the website until after Christmas. So if you want to get a whole set of these things, now's your chance. And each Blu-ray is chock full of cover art, game art, tons of episodes that have been remastered, tons of bonus features like documentaries, deleted scenes, bloopers. Oh man, all that and more. So go to Ghost Dr. Chris and take advantage of the sale today. If you love arcade games, I know you do, then you have to check out this book called Insert Coin by New Wave Toys. Boy, these guys have just knocked it out of the park with their arcade consoles. But now they have a book, since they're the go-to guys for arcades, I just love this. Each page gives you full pictures of the cabinets and the gameplay of a lot of the arcade games that you grew up with. There right there is Donkey Kong, we got Gauntlet, Marble Madness. I'm not sure if they have every single game on here, but gosh, there is damn near a lot. Popeye, Space Invaders, Spy Hunter, Tapper, oh come on. So yeah, get yours today because it's a great book.
This is Quackerjack from Darkwing Duck. It's playtime. Wait, no, it's Geek Time.
All right, welcome back to Geek Time, Season 2, Episode 3. This episode is brought to you by McFarlane Toys. Get your Mortal Kombat, Ninja Turtles, Avatar figures today for the holiday season. And if you want to enter our contest, all you have to do is pick me in the comments box, and we'll pick a winner at random. All right, so up next, we're going to be talking to a guest I was so excited to sit down with. He is a voice actor, an iconic voice actor from the 1980s, Michael Bell. And boy, when I was talking to him, it was such a joy because he was the voice of my childhood. He was on things like Snorks, Smurfs. He did one of the Wonder Twins, which I didn't realize until he pointed it out. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. So yeah, that was really cool. But he also did Quackerjack in Darkwing Duck. And we talk about all that. And the one interesting story that you'll have to pay attention to is when he met Mel Blanc. Like, talk about legendary. Michael Bell and Mel Blanc together in one room. Amazing. And he'll talk about all that and more.
Geek Time is honored to present our next guest, who voiced two of the original Smurfs, as well as Darkwing Duck's Quackerjack. He voiced Duke in G.I. Joe, the father of Chucky in Rugrats, Transformers, Snorks, and about 50 billion other cartoon characters. He is the legendary voice actor, Michael Bell.
Michael, thanks for being a guest on Geek Time. It is such an honor to talk to you.
That was cool.
Now, I was looking over your work history, and I don't know where to begin because I am just geeking out over all the different shows that you were a part of during my childhood. Like so many different Hanna-Barbera productions, because it seems like back then, every week they had a different show that they were bringing out. I'm sure they kept you quite busy back then.
Oh, yeah.
Now, how did you get your start with Hanna-Barbera?
I was doing on-camera work. I was under contract at Universal Studios, and I was guest starring a lot of there. I met a gal who was one of the top voiceover ladies in the business, Joni Gerber. She was just sensational. She was working for a long time with Mel Blanc, people like that. So she was very well known.
Wow.
And she said, let's make a tape. And I made a tape with her and did just vamped, just play what she played piano in the background in her house. And she sent it off to the agent. The agent contacted me and he said, yeah, I think you really got something going. So he sent me out there and I started to take off. And then she said, I want you to meet Mel Blanc. And I said, oh, okay, great.
Wow.
Mel's house, his son's house. And he was recording something. He said, Mike, why don't you get in here? And I said, oh, okay. And Mel says, hi. I said, I should have been wearing Depends. I almost peed myself.
Such an icon, yeah.
So excited. Yeah, I was raised with Bugs Bunny and all those marvelous characters that he did. So he did his character and I did my character. And he was supposed to be East Indian. And he was selling rugs and I don't know what the commercial was. And I was this young guy saying, hey, sir, can I blah, blah, blah. And he said, oh, yes, blah, blah. And Noel said, Dad, I want you to do an East Indian. You're doing an American Indian. And he said, oh, okay. And he tried it again. He said, no, Dad, that's not it. And did it one more time. He said, no, Mike, do you do East Indian? And, you know, this business is 1% talent and 99% opportunity. And you'd better be ready when opportunity knocks. And I said, yeah, because I had been studying dialects like crazy. And I did it. And that was the beginning. I came home and I said, I got a job that Mel Blanc couldn't do. Was there anything Mel Blanc couldn't do? And I got a job that Mel Blanc couldn't do? Unbelievable. Wow. And then years later, we got to work together in, Speed Buggy.
Oh, great. Yeah, because I think he was the voice of the buggy itself, correct?
Well, you're too young to remember the Jack Benny Show. And he was the voice of this car on the Jack Benny Show. And
okay.
And he would do that. What are we doing, Mr. Benny? It was really great. And they made an animated series out of it, and I got to play the young hero, as it were.
Oh, great. Yeah, the young kid in that. Oh, interesting. Now, I was looking over your credentials, too. Like, you had all kinds of background voices in Scooby-Doo, Captain Caveman, the CB Bears, Trollkins. Do you remember any of those voices that you did?
I guested so many times. I think in Scooby-Doo, I've done several guestings. I remember one, which was only several years ago, which was a Scottish character. I think it was some sort of beast or something. And I talked like that, it's great, it's come about, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So now I know this led to you being a big part of the Smurfs, where you did Grouchy Smurf and Handy Smurf. Is that correct?
And Lazy.
Oh, Lazy too.
Handy, you're allowed in those days to do 3 voices and get paid for 1. So that way they saved money by not hiring 2 other actors. So they brought in actors that could do more than 1 character. So I got to do Handy, Lazy, and Grouchy. And then when Paul Winchell decided to leave, I think in the last season, because he played
Gargamel.
Yeah, Gargamel, and I had been playing with Gargamel, and I called him and I said, Paul, you're not coming back? And he said, no. And I said, is this about money? Because they've asked me to do Gargamel, and I won't do it if it's about money, because I'm not going to step in when you need something. He said, no. He said, I just settled with NBC. I just made $1 million off NBC for some project they killed. And he said, I don't have to go back now. And I went, okay. So I went up doing Gargamel the last season.
Oh, can you give us a couple of lines of your doing Gargamel?
Oh, those Smurfs. I think, once again, I have got them. Blue bunnies. Oswald, get in here, Oswald, you mangy cat.
Oh, that's great. So how was it working with Paul Winchell? Because he was a big get back then.
Oh, wow. Growing up, Paul Winchell and Jerry Mahoney, I watched them on television. So many of these people that I worked with, I used to listen to on the radio. And then I stepped into Hanna-Barbera, and now I'm working with them on the same level with them, and I'm agog. it was great. Paul didn't have an unexpressed thought. Let's just put it that way.
With the Smurfs, were their voices sped up just a tinge, or was it your actual normal speaking voices?
I watched it. It didn't sound like it was. Okay, nothing like that. Oh, what do we do now? Okay, no, it just was us. Are we there yet, Papa Smurf? And then when they played it back, I said, yeah, it's what I sounded like. Didn't sound like we speed it up.
Oh, you're doing these voices, and that is like the sound of my childhood. There's like so many different cartoons that I can recognize from what you did there. Like, I think this is an obscure reference, but like, I think it was the Rubik's Cube. They had a cartoon for that. I think I recognized that voice in there.
I did that. Yeah, I did the first, was it Pac-Man? I did the first Pac-Man voice for something.
Did you?
Yeah. It's really crazy. I didn't know what any of those things were. I just walked in there and did them. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So could you give me some lines as some of the Smurfs there?
I think Lazy was, I don't know what we're going to do now because, it's not. And Handy was back here. Well, whatever you need, Papa Smurf, I'll build it up for you. Sure.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I'm sure you've worked with Jim Cummings with the Darkwing Duck. Yeah. Now, I listened to his podcast, and when they talk about the different, because he has on a bunch of different voice actors and things like that. And when they talk about the different voices, like where they come from, he explains it as, some of the voices come way up in the high register, which they call like the attic, where it's way up here. And then some of the voices that are down in the guttural area or down like in the basement where you're bringing them up from the basement. Do you view, like when you do these voices, the same way as that?
I don't do basement voices anymore.
Okay.
I used to do what is it? Thunder the Barbarian, or I would do some voice down here, some no, I just give it to somebody else. I'm not going to do that. And the high voices, and you got to be careful that you don't do a puppet voice. You don't go all the way over here because everybody does that. That doesn't take any great stretch.
But if you do a voice over here, that's a little bit different. It sounds like you're gargling helium. That's totally different. That's a high voice.
I did G.I. Joe, Transformers, G.I. Joe, all those things. Yeah. And G.I. Joe was Duke. And this is years later. I'm in my 70s, I think. And my agent calls and says they want you to do a voice for a TV series. It's a guest spot on Community, which is an on-camera comedy.
Oh, yeah, Community, yep.
And one of the characters gets hit over the head, and he goes into a coma. He goes into G.I. Joe land, and they go into animation, and they want to have Duke in there. So they called the agent. They said, "Does Mike still sound like Duke? Because we want him to do it, but he's in his 70s now." And I said, "Come on, guys." I said, "My ass has dropped, but my voice is still the same." All right, fine. I said, "He's going to call you. The director's going to call you." So I hung up the phone, and the director called, and I picked up the phone and went, "Hello?" And he went, Michael Bell, please. I said, "Oh, sure, Grandpa." And I got on the phone and went, "Hello?" And he went, "Yeah, is this Michael Bell?" "That's right." And he said, "Michael Bell, the voice of Duke for G.I. Joe." "Ah, that's me. Who's this?" And there's silence. And I thought he's going to hang up. I know he's going to hang up. And I went, "Okay, knowing is half the battle." And he went, Okay, I got it. It's you. Okay, good. And I did the show. I did the voice. Very funny.
Oh, that's so amazing. So were you called into like a studio to do that voice?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I interviewed some other voice actors from the G.I. Joe cartoon. They always dropped your name. Like they were always like Michael Bell this, Michael Bell that. So you have some gravitas within that world. Yeah. Do you remember like some interesting stories from that time frame?
I'm from G.I. Joe. Don't recall. I just know that we were all packed into a studio, and Wally Burr was directing, and it was just, there must have been about 20 of us in a studio about as large as a shoe. And I just remember sharing mics and running back and forth and grabbing, and then Wally's saying, all right, we got this character. Mike, why don't you try this? And I go, okay. We'll look at the script. We go, okay. Come up with another voice. Come up with another voice. Says, all right, that was good. Frank, why don't you give it a try? And Frank would try it. He said, Chris, you'll give it a try. Chris, you try it. All right, Mike, you got that one. And this is how we would work, other than our main voices that we had already been cast in, because they had us for 3. So we would work for 8 hours. And finally got one day Frank was leaving. And as Frank,
this is Frank Welker, correct?
Well, yes, Frank is leaving. He's leaving the session, and we're all packed in there. And we know we've got another hour, 2 hours left, but he had another session, so Frank had to leave. So Frank said, sorry, guys, I'm leaving. I said, Frank, before you go, I have a picture here of me. Could you bring this to my wife and child and show them what I look like? They haven't seen me in some time. We love doing it, but 8 hours in this little tiny room. We were growing mushrooms out of our chest. It was crazy, but it was fun.
Oh yeah, and that's back when they pumped out like 50 episodes a season, so you were there all the day.
We were working, yeah.
Can you, I'm geeking out over this. This is amazing. Can you give me a couple lines as like Duke?
But all I remember from Duke is knowing is half the battle. Or people, when they come over to you at your Comic-Cons and they say, remember when Duke said, I said, don't go there. I did so many, I can't even recall how I got here. I don't even know what plane it was on. Don't ask me what he said or what she said or what this character, I don't have a clue. And generally what they'll say is, hey, B.J. Ward, who played Scarlet, and she was at the table next to me. She was also in Scooby-Doo. And somebody said, did you do Scooby-Doo? And she said, yeah. He said, oh my God. Guy said, this is so great. What character did you play? And whatever character she played. She said, yes, that was me. He said, would you do something as that character? And so she said, sure. What do we do now, Scoob? We're really in trouble. And the guy went, no, that's not it. I said, son, I don't do that anymore. Because I can't remember. I can't recall. I mean, there's a few things I remember, and I have to look it up.
When you do these cartoons, and what a great example of this is the Smurfs. It just blew up so much. Did you have any idea it would get that big, something like that?
We just worked. We didn't have a clue. They came out with food. We would get a call and saying they're doing Smurf flakes or whatever the heck it was. So it's commercial. They want you to do grouchy, saying something, I hate milk or whatever the heck it was. And we suddenly found ourselves, becoming moderately successful, but successful anyway. And no idea. And then 30 years, 40 years, 50 years later, we're going to Comic-Cons and people standing in line and saying, like you, I grew up with you. Oh my God, it's amazing. I get it. I understand, because I feel the same way about other actors that I meet. But it's really amazing. It's really extraordinary. It's an extraordinary gift. It's like a pregnant cat. It keeps on giving.
Right. And of course, when you met Mel Blanc, did he live up to your expectations of him?
Absolutely. Quintessential professional. Just extraordinary. I got to be honest with you. And there's some wonderful talent out there. There's some really marvelous talent out there. I don't think there's anybody that ever matched Mel Blanc. He sang. He did all these characters, and it wasn't that he changed his voice so much. It's just that you believe the other character's separation from the character that he did before that. For whatever reason, he was just able to create for you a different character without really changing his voice a hell of a lot, because he had that wonderful grainy sound, that wonderful Mel Blanc sound, but he was doing some other character, and you went, I buy it.
Right, and he voiced like 20 different characters, and I know Warner Brothers has brought in other voice actors to kind of replicate that, and they can usually get like one or two of those voices, but they can't hit them all. They're like Mel Blanc, he just had that timbre or whatever it is.
I've tried for years. I finally had to give up. I tried for years getting him a SAG award, and they fought me at every turn. And they said, well, we don't do that. I said, well, you should. You should. He's history. He's part of who we are. Everybody in this audience, I imagine out there, watched at some time or know Bugs Bunny or Pepe Le Pew or Tweety Bird. I mean, come on. Give him a posthumous award and present it to Son Noah, invite him in, show what he's done. He was a pioneer. Yeah, I know, but we haven't got a plan for that, and blah, blah, blah. I said, all right, goodbye, screw yourself.
Yeah, so frustrating. Like, it seems like voice actors are on the lowest rung of the totem pole when it comes to that.
Yeah, we're just above infomercials.
Yeah, and you guys do those too. I want to switch gears here. So you did, and I love Darkwing Duck, and you did one of the foes, Quacker Jack. Can you do that a little bit?
It's playtime.
Oh, I love it. When you're doing that voice, I can just see him in my mind. That's great. Do you recall like any kind of studio things that went on when you did the Darkwing Duck?
I just remember when they doled out the roles. I think Dan Castellaneta was sitting on my left, and we were going down the line, and they said, here are the characters, and Mike, we want you to do Quacker Jack, and Dan, you're going to do, I don't know the name of his character, but you do that character. And I thought, Quacker Jack. And I looked at him and thought, okay, I'm going to do a Kirk Douglas kind of oh boy, someone here, and Kirk Douglas Crackle, etc. I thought, but Dan was first with his character, and that's what he chose.
Oh, no.
His character was that kind of Kirk Douglas thing. And oh my God, I got to come up with something else real fast because my line was coming up. So I came up with what I considered a generic wacko. At that point, we used to do all those wonderful actors from the 20s that were vaudeville actors that under MGM that were under contract. We would always do them, like Ed Wynn or something. But I just jumped right into wasn't prepared the way I thought I would be.
Well, it sounds like you kept a little bit of that Douglas essence.
Just a little bit, but still, I couldn't get too close to him because they would have said, well, that's too close, then I'm really stuck. Now where do I go? Then I have to go with Edwin. I have to go, such a pleasure. Whatever.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, and it just fits the character because he had that little doll and the little bomb thing of the banana bombs or whatever he had. So how was it working with Jim Cummings?
Jim is very talented. He's a talented guy, and he hits his line, does his square, does his piece, and he's good. He's a talented man. He's very, very funny. I don't know if he's personally funny. I know him, but I really don't know him.
Gotcha. Have they ever asked you back to reprise Quacker Jack?
I think we did it a couple of years ago. I think we did a reprise of Quacker Jack a couple of years ago. That was it.
Yeah, because I remember you guys you played the Quacker Jack in the DuckTales reboot.
DuckTales reboot, that's what it was. Yeah, I thought it would come back full force, but it didn't. And the guys were surprised when I went into the booth. They said, do you remember what you did as Quacker Jack? And I said, why does everybody think you think I should be instituted? Of course I remember. Of course I remember what I did as Quacker Jack.
Oh, man. So, yeah, looking through your IMDb, too, just so many pivotal small roles, too, like Voltron. You did Lance and Voltron. It was big in my day. It was, and they're coming out with the Voltron the movie. Oh yes, I heard that. Yeah. Can you give me a line of like a Lance? I'm sorry. Lance was pretty much me. It was me young. Oh boy, we're in trouble, Pidge. All right, turn your tiger around. Whatever. That was pretty much what I did. And I also was Sven. I wound up being another character. They keep killing me. I was a character that got killed. In G.I. Joe, they tried to kill me as Duke, and in Transformers, they killed me as Prowl. So I said, I'm the actor they like to kill. Yeah, you did Transformers 2. You did Prowl and Scrapper. Prowl was close to me. Scrapper was deeper voice. Brainstorm was a deeper voice. Yeah, and Swoop was
me Swoop, me know nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy too because I also know you from Snorks. I used to love Snorks all the time, and you played All-Star. All-Star. When I bring up that, you were All-Star in Snorks, you can hear a hint of your regular voice just kind of bleeding over into that somber, like, hey guys, let's go to the wherever. Always. It's like, to me, Snorks is early SpongeBob as far as I'm concerned. That's right. Yeah. Hey, we're in big trouble, guys. That young voice. And I recall a funny scene. We were doing something for Space Mutts.
I guess it was Space Mutts or Space Ace. And I was Space Ace.
Oh, were you? Okay.
And then we were doing something, whether it was that or it may have been Snorks. In any event, I know that I had to do something where I had to talk underwater. And Frank Welker and I were working together. The director said, okay, Mike, he talks underwater because you're underwater. And I had never practiced that. I didn't know how to do that. So I grabbed some water and I took a sip and went, okay, so, what was going on? Jeez. I have to try it. And then everybody's waiting. And I said, all right, I'll get this. And the director said, okay, Mike, Frank, why don't you do your character first? Then we'll get back to Mike. And so Frank does. Oh boy, we're in a lot of trouble. I had no idea what we're going to do now. And I went, well, Frank, why didn't you show me how to do that when I was doing that? He said, because it was so much fun watching you drown.
So yeah, he put his finger, ran him over his lips.
One of those things, which was the trick. Hey, where are we going, guys? Boy, we're in a lot of trouble.
Oh man, yeah, it's just like some of those things that you just pick up along the way.
Tricks, all those tricks, yeah. For years I was dubbing. Prior to that, I was doing dubbing, and I was dubbing Mexican horror films. And I had to play a Mexican ghost. And so I wound up doing this, oh, we are going to get you. You know, one of those. And by the time I got home, my throat was killing me, but it was work.
You know, it's interesting because when you did that ghost voice, like I've watched so many Hanna-Barbera cartoons when I was a kid, that voice, like even though it wasn't a main character, you could tell like they're just all over the place in the background. Was you. Amazing.
Yeah. Because we were working like crazy. We just did one thing after another. I was working every day.
Now, I know the Hanna-Barbera Studios is shut down now, but I've heard some voice actors talk about how prestigious and beautiful it was. Do you have fond memories of working at the...
It was great. I belonged to a studio. It was just wonderful. I would drive on. You know, you were welcomed. It was with Joe and Hanna and Barbera. It was cool. It was really, really cool. And I remember going in because I was doing Super Friends, and they called me and they were closing. The engineer said, Mike, he gave me the script, and I had a young lady I was working with who I wasn't used to working with. She was doing Jana, and I was Zan and Jana, the Wonder Twins. And we did.
That's right. Okay, I can hear it.
We did a spot. We finished the spot. Let's see. Wonder Twin powers activate, form of whatever it was. And when we finished, he said, okay. And he said, I am now going to be shutting down the equipment, Michael, because you were the last voice heard at Hanna-Barbera.
Oh, wow.
No more. You're the last voice. That was it. You closed Hanna-Barbera with Zan, the Wonder Twin. I went, well, I'm going to call Frank. Fuck, Frank.
Gloat. Yeah. Oh, it's kind of funny. I actually have that sound effect in here.
Wonder Twin powers activate!
Well, yeah, feel in there.
I was always water or some variation of water. I got to a point where I was a bucket of water, a bucket of ice. I was yeah. And finally one day I think I did Wonder Twin powers urine. And the director went, whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute, what is this? Well, he's got to be something else. That's water. Come on. I mean, it's either saliva, urine. I mean, what are we doing here? How many times can I do Jell-O? How about Wonder Twin powers Jell-O?
Well, if you're there that long, you have to have fun at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Michael, thanks again. I could talk to you all day, and I think...
Yeah. What time is it? Sun is coming down.
That's a Duke for you, where it's like, knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle.
All right, well, thank you again. Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Same here.
All righty, thank you. You're listening to Geek Time.
Warning. Geek Time will return after these messages.
If you like tabletop games or miniature figures, then you have to check out WizKid's new line of HeroClix called Strange Tales. And boy, they've been knocking it out of the park with the different sets that they're released. I think every like 2 months. It's kind of like Magic the Gathering, but with minifigures. Every couple of months they come out with a new line of figures. And man, so now they're doing the Strange Tales, which centers around Doctor Strange and all that. And I gotta say, I love these figures. So in this one, they've got figures of Blade and Magic, and Ileana, whatever her name is, and then Nick Fury, the old Nick Fury, the white Nick Fury. And so yeah, we got some great figures in this line. We got Doctor Doom, of course, a great looking figure, which I think that's probably the rare one. Yeah, those rare ones, man. So you have now a 1 in 12 chance of getting one of the rare figures in what they're called a brick, which these rare figures, they really stack the odds against you, because if you do find one, they're like $120. It's insane. But I don't play it for the game. I love getting the figures. And the last line that they did was a Green Lantern line, and I thought that was great, amazing. I love Green Lanterns. I was like collecting all the little Green Lantern guys, putting them together, and having my own core. So excited about that. So yeah. All right, so Strange Tales, I think, is on sale soon. So go out to your comic book store and collectibles shop today to pick up the new HeroClix. The Christmas time is upon us, gamers! And for all you old school gamers out there, we have a new Atari handheld system by My Arcade called the Game Station Go. And I gotta say, I played this. I loved it. It was amazing. So My Arcade has been doing these little game system things for a while now, but now they're starting to do handhelds. And I just love it because the look of this thing is just so nostalgic. I love it with the yellows and oranges and browns. God, that just, if that doesn't scream 1970s, I don't know what does. But this thing, I love it because they've put a bunch of ROMs on this thing. You get a bunch of stuff from the Atari 2600, 5200, and 7800 as well. And they also squeaked in a couple from the NES and Super Nintendo under that label as well. And also arcade games. And you'll get games like Pac-Man. You get all the Pac-Mans across the platforms, which is amazing. You get other games that I just love. Nostalgia games like Food Fight. I love Food Fight. There's no love for Food Fight anymore. I never see love for Food Fight. Just a fantastic game. I love the arcade version the best. And it's on here. It's just, if you want to play the best, it's on here. We got Tempest. We've got Centipede on there. Yeah, Centipede's on there. Breakout, Berserk, Asteroids, all that great stuff and more. So get your Atari Game Station Go today.
Hello, this is Brian Cummings, and I'm in this very long hall, and I don't know where I'm at. I see this sign ahead that says Geek Time. They're probably going to save my life.
You are listening to Geek Time, you geek.
All right, welcome back to Geek Time, Season 2, Episode 3. And this episode is brought to you by McFarlane Toys. Well, I got to sit down with Todd McFarlane again. I don't know if you guys heard my interview from when we did our Toy Fair coverage, but that was just an amazing interview, getting some of the insight from Todd McFarlane, because we went in directions I didn't realize the conversation would take. He got very philosophical, and I pointed it out to him, and he's just like, this is how I feel. He did not miss a beat. So, really cool guy. So, all right, let's go ahead and round off the episode here with some TV news. And mainly Green Lantern. I am very excited about this Green Lantern series that's going to be coming out. Again, I was kind of looking for the trailer that came out, and I'm kind of confused because, like I addressed last week, the AI stuff is overtaking YouTube. I can't find, I don't know the official stuff from the AI stuff, and there was a couple of videos I saw, like, I can't find the actual trailer for the lanterns. There was a couple of things I found that were AI garbage. I'm just like, oh, what is real? What am I looking at here? I still don't know the premise of what's going on here. I keep seeing all these articles where they're like, They alluded to the Guy Gardner movie version. Who's that guy? Nathan Fillion is supposed to be in this series. And when I looked at the trailer, I'm like, where's Nathan Fillion? I don't know where he is. So I don't know what trailer they're looking at. They didn't even link to it, which is another layer that drives me nuts. All these damn articles, they keep talking about things and they don't link to the actual trailer. I'm like, where's this stuff? Where are you finding this stuff? It's driving me nuts. And then I saw another article where they're like, oh, there's a fourth lantern. I'm like, there is? I couldn't even find the third lantern. So I don't know if Kyle Rainier is supposed to be in this series as well, but if he is, I can't wait to see how all this pans out. I am a huge Green Lantern fan. I'm very upset with the whole direction that the comic books that are going in. I love a good Green Lantern comic book. When I find a good Green Lantern comic book, I slowly read that thing, and it's like finding a fine wine. You sit there and you let it ruminate. And that's exactly what I do when I find a good issue of Green Lantern. Well, hell, a good comic book for that notion. It seems to be far and few these days. But yeah, Green Lantern, I don't know what DC is doing with this franchise, but my God, the comics are horrible. And it drives me nuts because they started renumbering the issues like a year and a half. I don't know, it was probably more than 2 years ago. And issues 1 through 6 were fantastic. Or I should say 1 through 12 were really great. I was really getting into the storyline. And then all of a sudden, it went off in a direction. I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? It drives me nuts because they had an ongoing storyline that they were going with. And issues 1 through 12 were fantastic. And then all of a sudden, they start going in this, okay, we're going to tie this in. Okay, we're going to tie this in and that in this issue. So you had like 5 different lines that you had to collect, and each story was watered down and horrible, and it just went in a direction. I'm like, oh God, this is definitely not the Jeff Johns days. Like Jeff Johns, that was, if you get the Jeff Johns run of Green Lantern, he set the bar for that. That is the standard. If you can't hit that standard, I don't want anything to do with you. So it got so bad where I ended up getting the trade paperback that collected issues 1 through 6. I had to get rid of it. I'm like, you read 1 through 6, you're like, oh, what's going to happen? And so it just, the rest of the story put such a bad taste in my mouth. I sold it. I'm like, oh God, get rid of this. So
you blew it!
God, talk about putting a bad taste in my mouth. Oh, all the way around. And I just hope that the series, like, look, I love Green Lantern. If they screw up the series, I'm going to be very, very, very upset. I'm just going to boycott that whole damn series. I even tried reading the Green Lantern, the All-In edition, where it was kind of like a reimagining. I will say the first issue kind of intrigued me because they took a slant with the whole direction. It's been a while now, so I don't remember what that slant was with the Green Lantern ring, but it was kind of saying like the ring was responsible for killing a bunch of people. It was like a bad thing, and so they tried to spin it that way in this spin-off. But after that, the rest of the issue arc just went horribly wrong. Like, they sucked me in, and then the rest of it was like, oh God, what are you doing to me? So, total waste of time. Oh, you're killing me. But I will say, if you remember, I harped on the Ninja Turtle line by IDW very badly. I hated what they did to that franchise. Issues 1 through 50 in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that was released in 2006, 2008, I think it was, by IDW, fantastic. Again, it's like one of those pinnacle things that you put on a pedestal. Like, this is the standard that you want to look up to. Issues 1 through 50 were fantastic. Go back, get the collection of the paperback issues. Fantastic. But after that, I don't know if the writers didn't know where to go or take the storyline next, but total dive bomb. By issue 100, and I tried to stay in there. I tried to stick it out as long as I could. Issue 100, I hung it up. I'm like, I cannot take this series anymore. You talk about go woke, go broke. This series dive bombed. It was around issue, I think they were able to sustain it to about issue 65, 70. They totally went off in a direction. I'm like, what is going on? Everybody got mutated. The Ninja Turtles were basically pushed out of their own series, which was, it's incredulous. Like, the entire roster of the main cast was replaced by female characters. Again, going back to Star Wars, this is a boy IP. Now you have, they brought in a girl turtle. They brought, April was in the lead. All these other mutation girls were in the lead. The Ninja Turtles were like in 2 panels at one point. I kid you not. I was like, what is going on here? I wrote IDW like every other month. I'm like, what the hell are you doing to this comic book? You're ruining it. You trashed it. Like, I don't, and it, I wanted to bang my head into the wall. And I guess the Kevin Eastman was still in charge. I don't know if he was in charge of the storyline. They said he was, but I don't know if he just was slapping his name on it. But if, I don't know why he would want his name on this. Like, the storyline was horrible, and I don't know if it impacted sales or what, but I guess they stopped it at issue 100, was it 25 or something? I don't even know. I was out long ago. But they said, like a year or so ago, they said they were going to reboot this franchise. They were going to renumber it, issue 1, new story, new everything. I'm like, let's see if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat. I was very optimistic. I'm like, what is going to go on with this franchise? And lo and behold, I read the first issue, sucked me in. I'm like, oh, I love this direction. Second issue, same thing. I'm like, yeah, give me more. Third, fifth, I was sold. By the 5th issue, I'm like, okay, I got to start getting the paperbacks to this one. Fantastic storyline. They kind of, I think there are some threads that they're keeping from the old series that was numbered 125. I don't know why they're doing that. Like, please, IDW, if you're listening, don't do that. You're shooting yourself in the foot. Everybody seemed to hate that old series. I know you had some of the yes men that have no taste in comic books. I don't know why you're listening to them, but whatever you're doing with this new series, do not change it. Do not change a goddamn thing. I love what you're doing here. But I guess, so this hit the news. Issue number 13 is a blind bag issue. And I guess they did something with the ink with the bag that is now turning people's hands green. Like all the retail associates at the comic stores, they're taking pictures online. They're like, hey, this thing just turned my hands all green. And now it's like a viral thing that's going online. So I think that's kind of funny. But with this, they're doing something right, because I guess this issue 13, they pre-sold 100,000 copies. Amazing. So yeah, and look, they got back to basics. They're catering to that boy demographic again. If you can stay the course, stay on target. Like, this is what we want to see.
Prepare for ramming speed!
Yeah, ram that sucker home, because, yeah, just stay the course and you will see this thing flourish. All right, so that's all I got. We're going to go ahead and end this episode. I hope you enjoyed what we've got going on here today. So a special thanks to Michael Bell for sitting down with us. Also, McFarlane Toys, thank you for being a sponsor of the show. We love your products. Mortal Kombat, Ninja Turtles. Boy, we're tying this whole episode together. Happy holidays, guys. This is the last episode before Christmas. So thank you. Hope you have a wonderful holiday. Thank you for listening to Geek Time.
Live long and prosper.
Geek Time.